So it's leg day here for me anyway at Montanari Powerhouse, and I'm gonna show you how off season goes for an IFBB bikini pro. Now a lot of people are like, oh hey, you girls don't really lift heavy and you don't really lift hard, and I just want to know what girls you're hanging out with, because I don't know those ladies, but we do train slightly different. Like, look at, like, powerlifters don't lift like bodybuilders, bodybuilders don't lift like powerlifters, so why would a bikini IFBB pro train like a bodybuilder IFBB pro? They all have similar elements, from powerlifting to bodybuilding to bikini, but they're all slightly different. So it's off season for me, so today we're going to turn up a notch. We're going to go a little higher in weight and a little lower in reps. When I'm in season, it's obviously more like moderate to high rep range. So we are focusing on building the glutes, because in bikini it is all about the glutes. So you want to work those bad boys like 3-4 times a week. Make sure you're stimulating them, get them to grow. So I don't know about you, but my glutes are not growing while I'm standing here talking. Let's do this. First exercise today, I'm starting with hip thrusts, and the reason I like to start with hip thrusts is because it really isolates your glutes, and like I said before, that's what it's all about for the bikini competitor. So I like to do that first thing when I'm fresh, when I'm the most strong. Obviously after my warm-up, I always do like a 5-minute warm-up and stretching. And then I like starting with the hip thrusts and really just isolating the glutes, and in the off season, just going really heavy to really just develop them. For me, as a bikini competitor, when it gets to being in season, I'm really an ectomorph, so my problem is keeping weight on. So in the off season, I really focus on muscle development, and especially in the glutes, it's because you do not want to lose those come competition time. That is the golden ticket right there. So I started with hip thrusts, and I don't necessarily go as heavy as I can. I go as heavy for the last like 3 to 4 reps to be really difficult, because I really like to squeeze it out as opposed to just grunt it out. And I find by doing that, the time under tension, it allows the muscle to develop and grow more. The next exercise I'm going to do is squats, and I like to, in the off season, do free weight squats and really try to activate a few more muscles, a little more tension. Same thing with the hip thrusts. I'm not necessarily going as heavy as I can, because again, I really like to squeeze out the whole movement and make sure that my quads don't take over, because when you squat, that can happen. So I like to keep the tension in the glutes again. So I really try to just squeeze through the exercise, keep that tension in the glutes, and not let the quads take over so much, because as a bikini, you're not trying to be, Quadzilla up there on stage. All you're going to do if you start developing your quads too much when it comes to competition season, you end up spending a lot more time doing cardio trying to work that muscle off, because that's not the kind of muscle you want. So I don't really like doing a lot of cardio, and I'd rather not. So I really try to, again, go as heavy for the last 3 to 4 reps are really difficult, and really squeeze it out through the glutes. Now I'm doing leg press and Bulgarian split squat superset. The leg press, I like to keep my toes pointed out and my feet a little higher. And I like to do that because, again, you can activate the glutes more through that movement. As you can see, there's a theme here. Everything is about the glutes. And the same thing weight-wise. Actually, I go a little bit heavier with leg press because I find for me when I'm in that position, and if I have my feet positioned, as I just said, that I can go a little heavier and really keep that heavy movement in the glutes. And then I superset that with Bulgarian split squats, which can be kind of difficult, especially just balance-wise, because it's an awkward thing. I tend to go a little bit higher in reps with these because I find it's hard for me to hold heavier weights when I do this. Today I use 20 pounds, sometimes I go up to 25, 30 pounds, but I find that I lose the focus in my legs, my quads, my glutes, and it tends to shift more into my shoulders and my forearms just for trying to hold on to the weight. So I find a little bit lower weight keeps my form on point, and again keeps the tension in the legs right where I want it, as opposed to just trying to hold heavy weight, and I fatigue my arms that way. I like to superset these two moves because I find that's works best for me. I think with the Bulgarian split squat, it really is a nice deep burn after the leg press, and really one of the reasons I like supersetting and I like going heavy is I don't do cardio on leg days in the off season. So when I superset and I keep things heavier, there's no need to do cardio. Next, I'm doing sumo squats on a bench with a dumbbell, and I'm supersetting that with a barbell stiff leg on a bench. So the sumo squats, I like to go pretty heavy on these, as heavy as I can hold, and really go slow and concentrate on the movement, and again really squeeze in the quads and the glutes. But I like to almost pause too at the bottom for a minute and really allow that stretch, get that full range of motion, and really stretch through the whole muscle. And I like to superset that with the stiff legs on the bench. And I like doing these on the bench because, again, it makes you work on your core more. It's kind of unbalanced on your feet, especially if you're on a bench that has a squishy pad on it. So I like that extra challenge. And I was using a barbell, and these I go really heavy, pretty much as heavy as I can hold, which makes it difficult trying to get up and down with that weight afterwards, because I don't work out with a partner. When I work out, I like to really get in my own zone. I've trained my whole life and always worked out by myself, and I find for me, when I like to work out, I kind of like to get a little angry. I put my headphones on and typically work out with a hat on, and I don't talk to anybody. And that's my thing, is I need to get a little bit mad to get my workout in, and I find that people can be distracting. So here and there, because I'm using heavy weight, but it's enough for me to handle. But here and there's times where I'm like, oh shit, I could have used the spotter there. But that's kind of it's a fun challenge, figure out if you're going to get down without falling or not. The next thing I'm doing is a hamstring curl with a dumbbell on a bench. I like to do these smaller isolating exercises after I've worked all my bigger muscles, so I tend to do these towards the end of the workout. I like doing the dumbbell on the bench because it's almost an awkward movement. It's difficult, especially the first few times you do it. It kind of feels like you're like, am I doing this right? But it's the next day, yeah, you're gonna find out that you were in fact doing it right. But it's tough to get your feet positioning on the dumbbell. You'll see sometimes if you're using a heavier weight and you get it up, your toes will start to slip and the bar will come through, and you have to kind of reposition a few times throughout the workout. But it really just hits a different area that you can't get on a machine. So, and I'm supersetting that with a single leg extension. And I like to do, again, the quads last because I'm not looking for a ton of quad development. And I like to do the single leg because I find that I am a little bit right leg dominant. So if I do both my legs together, that leg just naturally takes over. So if I do one and the other, then they're both getting the same workout. The next exercise I'm going to do is calf raises. I don't do a ton of calf work. Genetically, I am kind of blessed in that area, but I work them in almost every workout I do every day. But the reason that I don't like to do too much calf work is because when I'm on stage, they can be kind of distracting, and a lot of people are like, oh, hey, look at your calves, it's amazing. But I don't want you looking at my calves, I want you looking at my glutes. So I find that less calf work is better for me, but I do like to hit, when I do calf raises, I like to go 3 different ways and work all 3 parts of the calf. So I usually start out, middle, in, and then on my next set, I'll work it the opposite way. It's one thing, no matter what I'm doing, especially if I'm always starting with, like on the Bulgarian split squats, I always try to start with my left leg one time, my right leg one time, my left leg and my right leg. I always try to mix that up and not always start on the same leg. So the same thing with calves, because especially with the middle of your calves, they just try to dominate. So I like to always start with the outsides or the insides first. But that's my off-season leg workout, and it's all about developing muscle, but the right kind of muscle that you're not going to have to burn off during competition prep.
You see that doggy over there? That's Romeo. He is the gym mascot. You can follow him on Instagram. But that was one of my off-season leg workouts. Felt pretty good. Got a good burn. Got a good sweat, and yeah, that's all she wrote.